Hello. Okay, so thank you for coming. This talk is about how to design your board so that it is manufacturable, so that the companies that you will find in Shenzhen, in the Futian district, according to the advice in Bunnie Huang's A Guide to Shenzhen, will actually be manufacturable. It's not supposed to use the PA. That's just for the recording. Yeah. So I apologize if you can't hear. I would think, but I will need to go back to the laptop to show you what's on the screen. So we'll just have to bear with me on this, okay? All right. So your nightmare scenario is one which actually happens. It's a real-world scenario that regularly happens with the factory that I know in Shenzhen. Mike tells me that he receives PCBs with a bill of materials from companies in the United States and the rest of Europe, which have been exclusively designed using AVNet, RS Online, Farnell, and DigiKey, and they expect him automatically to be able to beat the pricing for the components by a factor of 4 to 5 to 10. Okay? All right? It turns out, though, that the parts that people ordered were last manufactured in China 10 years ago for a project which was some very large thing. There were 1 million made 10 years ago. DigiKey was the main buyer of those parts because they were very commonly available. They ordered 100,000 to keep stock, to supply the repair centers, etc. You get the idea. Then that product went end of life. And to make space in the factory in China, the company destroyed the tooling. You know what's going to happen and going to come next, okay? So basically, that part is no longer manufactured. And the only place in the world from which that part may be obtained is the warehouse in DigiKey somewhere in Phoenix, Arizona. So in order to fulfill the order that Mike has done, he has to go back to has been received. He has to go back to the factory, the owner, and say, "I'm very sorry. The only place I can fulfill your order with is to order these parts, which were from China, shipped to the US, get them imported back into China with a 6 to 8 week delay and customs duty of 30 to 40%. On top of the fact that the parts were made in China for $1, by the time they got to China, they were $2 for the shipping cost, plus import duty, plus warehouse storage fees, plus things. So it's that $1 was now $10 for a $1 component. It's now got to come back into China with a 30% import tax. Now it's $13, yeah, for a $1 part. You do not want to do this, okay? All right? So what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to give you some advice on how to source the components and check that they are available. Okay? All right? So your two friends, can you hear me over there? Yeah. Brilliant. Your two friends are aliexpress.com and taobao.com. All right? Do not buy from these people unless you are in China and you are a Chinese citizen. Okay? If you really, really want to buy from taobao.com, you should go to engtaobao.com. All right? This guy is a Chinese national. By law, if he is ripped off by a Chinese citizen, he is entitled to take them to court. You are not. Okay? So you pay 5% extra, but you can give the guy some money to beat them over the head to get your money back. Okay? All right? They don't listen to foreigners, but I am assuming that you are all aware that there are fake suppliers that on these sites who sell even to Chinese national citizens. They will sell The famous one was the people put concrete in milk powder cartons. Okay, so it happens, you know, you get 100 microfarad capacitors in 10 microfarad capacitors in a 100 microfarad case, and 3.5-inch IDE drives turn out to have a 2-inch IDE. And 3.5-inch SATA drives turn out to be a 2.5-inch IDE drive with a SATA, IDE to SATA converter in it. Okay, so that is out of scope for this talk. Okay, all right, just bear that in mind. So Eng Taobao is your friend if you are abroad and you actually want to buy the components. Okay, bear in mind it's the Chinese equivalent of eBay. You get what you buy. You're not actually buying, but what you are doing is you are checking the availability of the part. Okay? Your most important thing is when you want to find whatever it is, you first go to DigiKey or whatever. Okay, now I searched here, so people paying attention will have noticed I searched for the SN75 LVDS83B, which is a Texas Instruments part, which also is cloned under the name NT71 in China. They're identical, all right? Surprise! And on here, you get the...
From the original masks.
Uh-huh. Yeah. He said, and they were the original masks. So on DigiKey, you get access to the datasheet. On the Chinese equivalent of eBay, don't even think about asking them for the datasheet, okay? All right? But you don't even want to buy the part. You're just checking the quantities of suppliers that have it available. If you've ever been to Fujian district, one of the places, the ground floor is football pitch sized and it is 5 stories high. Okay? There are 5,000 suppliers of parts in the one building. Okay? So you want to check quantity rather than quality. And so having done your search on here for SN75 LVS and got the datasheet and designed everything, before you commit to that, you go to the Taobao website and search for exactly the same part, and you check, if I can get this over, how many pages of stuff there are. Look, there's loads of suppliers. They're all different. They're not identical photographs. Okay? You can tell all the names of the people selling are different. You can get a rough idea of the price from the thing. You discard the low ones, discard the high ones, so roughly in the middle or somewhere. But if you want absolute guarantees of pricing quotes, you use your Huaqiang Road, your factory in Shenzhen, okay? All right. And this is very important. This bit is that there are 5 pages and more of this same part, so you know that there are massive numbers of suppliers, and you can it's not totally guaranteed. You can pretty much guarantee that this part will be available when you go to the Shenzhen markets, okay? This is the bit of information that is missing from Bunnie's extremely, otherwise very, very good book, okay? Bunnie has assumed that you know how to order these parts and which ones to get, yeah? Okay? And he helps you to find the ones and distinguish between the parts that are prime quality and the ones that are second-hand, recycled, etc., and the dodgy guys. All right. So, but this information of what I'm giving you here is completely missing. So, step 1: look on DigiKey, find the datasheet, check that it suits your needs. Step 2: before you design the PCB and the schematic with the part, check the availability using either AliExpress or Taobao to check the quantity of suppliers and the diversity of suppliers. Okay? And if it's not available, don't use it. I'm really serious. Do not use that part. Find an equivalent circuit that uses an alternative part. Okay? The other more popular one, it's very common, for example, for people to use a Texas Instruments or a USA-designed current limiter chip for USB power. Okay, in certain circumstances, you can't use the power of the USB hub. You have to do the power check, the current limiting yourself. Now, in some cases, like the Silogy Psi 6280, you will not find the datasheet online. And the only way to find out about this chip is to find somebody else's schematic which has this in. So it's a bit of hit and miss. Some stuff you will find on DigiKey or Final, blah, blah, etc. really easily. Some of it you will just have to find somebody who knows, who has specialists in this area and knows their parts, okay? All right. So copies of this datasheet are now being distributed over thing. Thank you very much for marking it as its time. There is one last thing which is very, very important. LCDs. If you are sourcing LCDs, use this website, panellook.com. It overwhelmed all of the other websites that were for sourcing. You don't buy from there. You put the information about in the brand, blah, blah, resolution, etc. Make sure that you put the that it is available rather than discontinued, and just search for it. And you're looking for quantities, multiple suppliers, again, of 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 from multiple suppliers. That's basically it. Thank you very much. Good man. Thank you very much.
I guess you need to keep the time for the questions.
Yeah, go.
Question, somebody?
Yes, gentleman here. Why do I not buy from AliExpress or Taobao only? The reason is because those suppliers, they're eBay. They may not supply directly. They may rip me off. So I have a trusted factory owner whom I have a good relationship with. I have met him. I know he exists. And he even takes credit. He even gives credit. I'm not going to give you his name because I don't want people to take advantage of him. But if you really need an introduction and you're serious, I can walk you through the process. Find my email address on Yoma68 or Rhombus Tech or lkcl.net. You can find me and contact me, and I will walk you through the process and introduce you to him, okay?
Okay, time for
good?
one last question. Somebody? Yeah?
I think in case you're only needing a few single components, then it's a totally different story. Also,
absolutely.
Advice for, well, buying or not from AliExpress.
Right, very good, very good point. The gentleman here said if you're buying only like 10 or 20 components rather than 1,000, then it's okay to use AliExpress. I would strongly recommend that you try and Eng Taobao, because they buy it and they check. They don't check it, but they buy it and make sure it goes on. It's a risk. It's hit and risk. If you can find somebody who is prepared to buy a thing, it is a pain in the neck. I cannot even get quantity 20 samples within a few days because it's not worth their time or money to do it. So what Mike does for me is he has a big order of 50,000, and he says, oh, and incidentally, could you look for this 20 for me? Okay, then he knows that he's doing them a favor by getting them lots of money. So it's very, very different. You have to, and that's why Bunnie suggests going over there personally. For solving this problem of I just want 20 components, you really need somebody to go round the markets personally who has the time, or do it personally yourself. And that's where Bunnie's book takes over from this talk.
Great. Thank you. Look again.